Hey, I am Jack. Every year, American school children learn the same story. Thomas Edison invented the light bulb. Thomas Edison invented the phonograph. Thomas Edison was the greatest inventor who ever lived. And that is why there is a city in New Jersey named after him. It is clean, it is inspiring, and it is mostly wrong. I am not here to tear Edison down. The man genuinely changed the world, and I'll get to that. But the way we tell his story has erased the names of the people who actually built most of it. And that erasure was, in a lot of cases, very much on purpose. Edison was born in 1847, and by the time he set up his famous Menlo Park Laboratory in New Jersey in 1876, he had already figured out something that almost no one else at the time understood. The future of invention wasn't a lone genius in an attic, it was a factory. He hired draftsmen, machinists, chemists, glass blowers, and mathematicians. He gave them direction, he gave them problems to solve, and when they solved them, he filed the patents under his name. That is the part the textbook skipped. Take the light bulb. The popular version of events has Edison working through the night, testing thousands of filaments, until one October evening in 1879, the carbon thread finally holds, and the bulb glows for 14.5 hours. That part is real. But the British physicist Joseph Swan had demonstrated a working incandescent lamp to an audience of 700 people in Newcastle in February of that same year. Swan had been experimenting with carbon filaments since 1850. His design was, as Britannica puts it, substantially the one used by Thomas Edison nearly 80 years later. When Edison tried to enforce his patents in Britain, the courts ruled against him and forced him to make Swan a partner. Even the U.S. Patent Office ruled in 1883 that Edison's own American patent was invalid because it duplicated prior work. So the inventor of the light bulb actually lost the patent case for the light bulb. What Edison genuinely invented was the system around it, the generator, the wiring, the parallel distribution circuits, the metering, the entire infrastructure that made a light bulb useful in a home rather than just impressive in a lecture hall. That is real significant and worth crediting, but it is a harder story to put on a poster. Now let's talk about the people inside the factory. William Kennedy Dickson was a British engineer hired by Edison in 1883. In 1888, Edison had the concept for a motion picture camera, a device that could do for the eye what the phonograph did for the ear. Edison filed a caveat with the patent office, established the legal claim, and then handed the actual engineering problem to Dickson. Dickson spent years solving it. He built a working prototype. He shot the first test films. When the kinetoscope was finally patented and commercialized, Edison's name was on it. Dickson's contribution, as Wikipedia puts it plainly, is where much of the credit for the invention belongs. Dickson left Edison's company in 1895 and spent the rest of his career mostly in obscurity. Howard Latimer had a more complicated relationship with Edison's empire. Latimer was one of the only black engineers working at that level in the 1880s, and he was brilliant. He had already helped Alexander Graham Bell file the telephone patent before joining Edison's team. Latimer held his own patents on improved carbon filaments, methods that made light bulbs cheaper to manufacture and longer lasting. He also wrote the first technical book on electric lighting in 1890 while employed by Edison. The filament improvements that made incandescent lighting commercially viable at scale was substantially his work. Edison is remembered as the father of electric light. Latimer is remembered by almost nobody. Then there is Nikola Tesla, which is where things get genuinely ugly. Tesla arrived in the United States in 1884 with 4 cents in his pocket and a letter of recommendation addressed to Edison. He was hired at Edison Machine Works in New York, and he was immediately exceptional. Edison had a problem. His DC power system was plagued by unstable generators. Tesla told him he could fix them, all 24 of them, and asked what it was worth. According to Tesla's own account, Edison told him the job was worth 50 ling, which would be roughly 1.5 million in today's money. Tesla worked around the clock for several months and succeeded. When he went to collect, Edison laughed and told him he didn't understand American humor. He offered a 10件 per week raise instead. Tesla quit the same day. His diary from that period has only one note scribbled across 2 full pages. Goodbye to the Edison machine works. The 50 Lin story has some nuance to it. Tesla's accounts were written years later, and some historians believe the original offer was always ambiguous. But what isn't ambiguous is that Tesla did the work, Edison reaped the benefit, and Tesla was given nothing meaningful in return. What followed was the war of currents, which Tesla and his backer George Westinghouse won decisively. Their alternating current system is the one powering your home right now, not Edison's DC. Every outlet in every building you've ever been in runs on Tesla's AC architecture. Edison's response to losing that war is the part that really should be in the textbooks. He ran a propaganda campaign designed to convince the public that alternating current was deadly. He paid schoolboys to collect stray dogs and cats, then electrocuted them publicly using AC current in front of journalists. A procedure he cheerfully called getting Westinghoused. He publicly electrocuted calves and a horse at his West Orange laboratory. He lobbied for AC to be used in New York's first electric chair, reasoning that if people associated Tesla's current with execution, they'd be afraid of it in their homes. He lost anyway. The physics of long distance power transmission made AC superiority unavoidable. So here is what I think the Edison story actually is. He was a genuine innovator. The Industrial Research Lab was itself a transformative invention, and the integrated electrical system he built around the light bulb was real engineering at scale. But he was also a systematic credit taker who built his legend on the labor of engineers, whose names we've mostly forgotten, and a ruthless competitor willing to torture animals and sabotage a superior technology because it threatened his royalties. We tend to want our heroes clean and our villains simple. Edison was neither. He was something more instructive. A man who understood that in the real world, the person who controls the narrative and the patent office usually gets the statue, regardless of who did the work in the lab at RAM. I'll see you in the next one.